I would like to remind you. The first participant will be S. Jafinza Karunya Zelma, PhD, along with Dr. B. Benson Tilaga. They are about to present their
Okay.
paper, ma'am.
Okay. Now I invite Jeffin sir to present your paper.
Yes, Professor.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, one and all present here. I thank the organizing secretary and all for giving me an opportunity to present a paper on Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory in Mira Sial's The House of Hidden Mothers. Shall I present, ma'am? Mira Sial is an eminent British English writer. She deals with the contemporary issues of migration, surrogacy, familial relationship, women issues, generation conflicts, cultural hybridity, and dual identity. Her novels are Anita and Me, Life Isn't All Ha Ha He He, and The House of Hidden Mothers. Now we are going to see how Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory is applicable in the House of Hidden Mothers novel. Now, we have seen Abraham Maslow, who is regarded as the father of humanistic psychology. He proposed Maslow's hierarchy of needs in 1943 in a paper, A Theory of Human Motivation. It is the fundamental theory in psychology which is useful in everyday life. The hierarchy is presented as the pyramid. There are 5 different stages to analyze human development. The primary needs are physiological needs such as air, water, drink, shelter, sleep, clothing, etc. These are the requirements for human survival. The basic need is satisfied in Mala's life, who is one of the protagonists in The House of Hidden Mothers. She has faced the reality of poverty, illiteracy, dowry system, and many other social evils. She is one of the characters who lives a rustic life, but she tries to rise above it. Mala has no father and no brother to protect her. Rama marries her an act of charity. She never forgets that he is her owner. She remembers her father, sister, and mother too. Her sister never assures her that a husband can be like a friend. Mala comes to know about Seema, who was the neighbor of her, become a surrogate mother and becomes rich as a consequence. Seema informs her about the surrogate baby. Her husband consoles her by saying, within quotes, "You are just the nest, not the egg. The bird gets strong and then flies away." Close quotes. In addition to that, he also says that he has gained money over that surrogacy. Then we have to see about Mala's husband. He wants to become a friend with Seema's husband, and Mala also tries to become a friend to Seema because of their poverty. They want money, so they want to become a surrogate. Okay. Seema tells her about the entire procedure and how it is possible to get the surrogate at Dr. Renu Pasi's clinic in Delhi. In this clinic, Mala meets Shama and Toby. Shama is the first protagonist. She was at 48, and Toby, who was at 38, both of them are living a living together life. They want a child, so they are in need of surrogate mother. So they are living in London, but they are in need of child, so they are searching surrogate mother and they are reaching India. So Mala is the victim for that. These two people. Then we are going to see about second need, that is safety need. Here we can talk about health as well as property. Safety needs can be fulfilled by the family and society. It involves a person's feeling safe with security of body, of employment, of morality, of the family, of health, and of property. Here, emotional security, which is needed for Tara. Tara, who was the daughter of Shama, she was at the age of 19. And property deals with Brahm, that is Shama's father and grandfather of Tara. In India, there is no security for a woman. A report says there are 24,000 rape cases waiting to be heard in the court every year. Shial uses the Delhi gang rape, that is Nirbhaya incident in this novel also. There was a young woman who was a physiotherapy student. Her father was an agriculture laborer who had sold land to pay for her studies and worked double shift to bear them all. She was the first in her family to attend college. She had a male companion who was a software engineer. Both of them had just seen a film, The Life of Pi, at a cinema complex and boarded an empty bus. Their only companions were 5 men and the driver. She only expresses the social evil that had happened to the women. Likewise, in Tara's life also, she experienced sexual abuse. Okay, when her family went for that surrogate child, in India, she was alone in that house. At the time, she was experiencing the sexual abuse when all her family members had gone to India. She gathered a group of friends who brings alcohol, party snacks, and carry bag full of DVDs of movies. Tamsin and Charlie are there also. They are talking about the recently completed assignment. They shoot 5-minute films also. But Charlie stares at her and tries to misbehave with her. She hates that. She thinks that it is better than to be alone. Meanwhile, Charlie tries to molest her. Not having educated her daughter on safeguarding herself leads to sexual molestation. That there is no safety for girls in India and even abroad is authentically expressed in Seal's The House of Hidden Mothers. And in property rights, we are going to see about Shyama's parents. Brahma and Sita live in London. They are an ideal couple because they have living together for 50 years. The protagonist parents, Brahm and Sita, have their role in the development of the novel. Brahm is the second eldest son of his family who had worked his whole life for the betterment of future of his family members, his brother, their wives, his nephews and niece. However, his own younger brother, Yokesh, deceives him by occupying his flat illegally. Brahm and Sita are in need of legal help to regain for their property in New Delhi. For 10 years, Brahm and Sita try to regain the possession of their flat in New Delhi, which they had bought as an investment and stay during eventual retirement. They had struggled from March 2002 to March 2012. His brother Yogesh has cheated them. It hits Brahm so that he is mentally depressed and became unconscious. And also, he has seen his daughter Shyama, who grow and suffer an unhappy married life without settling, and the future of his daughter as well as his granddaughter was in a question. So he was unconscious and he was stressed and become unconscious during in Delhi. Next, we are going to see about love and belonging needs. When the basic needs are satisfied, physiological needs such as love and belonging needs are going to obtain. Okay, so love and belonging needs is the third level of human needs. It's the social and involved feelings of belonging. Sita, the mother of Shyama, wonder how life might have turned out if they have not left Delhi, but they raised their children as Pakka Indians. She is deeply concerned and worries about the future of her daughter as well as granddaughter, like Brahm. Toby wants to live with her after she gets the divorce from Shiv, because Shyama and Shiv got married and bore a child, that is Tara. After that, he left Shyama because of he is having illegal contact with somebody else. So Brahm Sita has supported Shyama to grown up Tara. Shial brings out the feelings of mutual love and respect between the characters. She depicts the relationships of Tara, the daughter, her mother, and her grandparents. They are the backbone of family because Tara's father is absent physically from her house due to lack of love towards his wife. The mother insists on her daughter's high standard of morality and provides her the best education. As an independent adult, her daughter freely chooses her job, lifestyle, and traditional values that are compatible but not equal with her mother. Then we are going to see about self-esteem, how Tara has achieved her target. Self-esteem is one of the fundamental psychological characteristics that has influence on the achievements and success of a person in his or her private and professional life. Tara completes all her assignments and makes her first small film. It is her end of term project. In Mala's case, her father's sudden death meant Mala's abandoning her dream of going to college and accepting any marriage offers that came her way. Her need is not fulfilled. Tara's need is fulfilled, but Mala's need is not fulfilled. And Shyama, who has to bring up her daughter, so she gained some courage and she ran her own saloon shop in England and live a dignified life. Okay. Then self-actualization. She struggled hard as an independent woman, Tara. Okay, she get job and married an Indian man and she bore a child. So she became an independent adult. She freely chooses her job, and she can identify whether a mixed culture is good or traditional culture is good. She identified traditional values and cultures are more satisfied than the mixed culture or hybrid culture. At last, she has found out. Then Mala, the surrogate mother, has succeeded in keeping her own baby and she wins over Toby's heart. Because Mala is a surrogate mother, she bore Toby's own sperm child. So later, Toby knows that Mala was the original mother and he accepts Mala and she left Shyama. At last, it is the twist in this novel. Thus, we can see the hard working which leads to achievement and attain reward through Shyama and Tara, as well as Sita, who has obtained property also. Marlowe has indicated that the need for respect or reputation is the most important need for children and adolescents and presides real self-esteem or dignity. Thus, we can analyze Marlowe's hierarchy of need theory through Mira Sial's The House of Hidden Mothers. Thank you.
Yes, Jeffin sir, you have presented very well about. Okay, will you present your slide, first slide?
Yes, ma'am.
The House of Hidden Mothers.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory.
Yes, House of Hidden Mothers, reflections of House of the. Yes, in that, actually, you have portrayed the theme exactly what the author has given, what Maslow's explained through his theories, self-actualization, and it is also a cautious novel, am I right?
Yes.
Since surrogacy is booming in India,
Yes.
Nowadays, it's a cautious novel. Really, you have explained the theme very well.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
The next participant.
Ma'am?
Yes, sir.
I would like to call upon our next participant, Mr. Kabir Ahmad and Dr. Sati Roy Mandal. They're going to present a paper on Rabba, an observation of language laws in West Bengal.
Yes, yes, sir. Okay, Dr. Kabir Ahmad.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, now you can present your paper.
Thank you, madam, for giving me the opportunity. Good evening to all of you.
Yes.
I am very grateful for being a part of this program. Now I am going to present my paper verbally. My paper title name is An Ethno-Sociocultural Study of Rabha in the North Bengal or West Bengal. Rabha is a Tibeto-Burman language that the Rabha people speak in the northern parts of West Bengal. It is an indigenous community of northern part of West Bengal, a major community that particularly resided in Alipurduar, Jalpaiguri, Dinajpur, the Darjeeling district of plain areas and the Coast Bihar. Grierson has put them in the Boro subgroup of Assam and West Bengal branch of Tibetan Burman language group. Many of the tribes and subtribes of this language group have lost their speech, and nowadays most of them have preferred to speak Bangla language as a mother tongue. Rava are one of such tribes who are divided into different clans or branches. These Ravas branches are Rangdani, Maitri, Totla, Koch. Bitulia, Dowry, and songs, and etc. The first three branches are said to be superior to others, especially concerning social status. The study is based on extensive fieldwork in camps selected in North Bengal district of West Bengal. The fieldwork was conducted in three districts, North Bengal, in the West Bengal. There are Coach Bihar, Tufanganj, and Buchmari village, Alipurduar, Kamakhaguri, and Janabasti, Jalpaiguri, Jaldapara, and forest area. Beside this, data primarily has been collected based on researcher own encounters with people in different situations. Data has been collected through interviews with the coach speakers as well as relevant literature of this area. Method: interview, audio-visual recording, and questionnaire. About 30 informants, equal number of male and female subjects. The study has adopted Labos 1963 age grouping, and the age group in the study has been divided into 5 segments. There are 14 to 13 years, 31 to 45 years, 46 to 60 years, 60 on, and the above. Interaction with people included picture story test, voluntary storytelling session, and the various random interview with people. The observations were recorded by a qualitative question. House type. They include old-fashioned features such as building, figures, dimension, and design of buildings, apartment, sheds and craft shops, materials used and tools and techniques. Sites were selected, placing different building on the site and the use of building and different parts of the building were the main concern of the village families. Most of the houses are built of bamboo and some are plastered with slate walls. Household activities are the focus of the fireplace. The most favorable months of build a house are March to April. Their food. Rice is Rava's main food in their daily life. They eat rice for their breakfast, lunch, and dinner as well. They cultivate beans, various kind of vegetables in there, and they catch the fishes a local pond in the village. They survive with their traditional food. The main food prepared by them is as follows: chapati rice, ranga chahu, powder rice, and poppy rice are also ramage sale at unlike intermission. Local rice beer chokot is a thing for each and every function. This thing is made from rotten rice. The best thing is that they got a qualitative rice beer which is called chokot. Still, they also try to make many kinds of homemade rice beer that considered a nutritious beverage for overall healthiness and well-being. Many food items like leafy vegetables, tender bamboo stalks are boiled with plenty of water and salt and eaten with rice. Pork, mutton, eggs, dried fish, and rice powder type are also their delicious dishes. Rava's traditional attires each an important of his material culture and justifies a special reference. Ravas would live to dress up with the colorful design. Current scholars have experimented that they more often use red and green cloth, but their most favorite color is the red. Besides this, they prefer to wear the white, black, yellow, purple, etc. They claimed that these colors are holy for their respective occasion. When we ask the why they have chosen to wear up the green, they found that since they work mostly in husbandry, the clothes get dirty fastly. That is why they have to wash their clothes almost daily. Their musical instrument, the Ravas make their musical instrument with bamboo, wood, and leather. They use leather in khyar kham like a drum. Other instruments are kara or karanal, a 6 foot long fluctuate. Baidang or the Badangappa, a tentok or Temekka Bangarsri or the Bashi. Uh, um, their occupation generally Rava are based on agriculture, so the village economy depends upon the production of the paddy. From the very beginning, they have been cultivating paddy like Ashu, Horma, Bilsa, and Sali. And looking at the season, they also grow jute, mustard oil, pulses, sugarcane, etc. Vegetables like potato, cabbage, chili, mm, it is called winter vegetable, brinjal, radish are also grown up. In their cultural pursuits, men and women equal partner fishing. Livestock, sericulture of manufacturing of bamboo and cane goods are some of their subsidiary occupation. Conclusion, ma'am. However, ethno-linguistics study is a wide area covering the relationship between language and culture, language and culture mind, language and social system, language and communities, ethos and values. The present study is collected in a restricted domain with the purpose of showing how classificatory methodology is adopted in a cultural conscious way by the people belonging to the coach community as a whole. This study has certain limitation and attempt has been made to show some aspect by way of relating language and culture and for relieving the way in which cultural consciousness of a commonly relevant through language. Overall, the present study is an attempt to relate the cultural consciousness of Rava with living reality called Rava language, taking some delimited areas for exposing the above discussion. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Your presentation was good. How the language, you also spoke about ethno-linguistics, how the language influences in the society of people, especially the people, especially agriculture community. You are talking about, yes,
Yes, ma'am.
yes. How the language
Yes, ma'am.
how the language influences the particular society. About Bengal community, am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. How the language influences the particular community, and also how you compare the community with the different culture in the society.
Bengali speaker are also here.
Yes, yes. Try to explain it in English.
Now dominant culture adopt the Bengali culture, ma'am.
Yes, yes. How you compare with the Maslow's hierarchical needs?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any self-actualization within the people, within the
Actualize.
community? Definitely, of course, it will be there. What is your answer, sir? Kabir, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How the people
Yes, ma'am.
they are influenced in their culture and their language. Am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. How you
Yeah, ma'am.
interrelate? Yes, how you interrelate?
Linguistic,
Yes, yes. Come on.
ethno-linguistic study, ma'am. The wide area covering
Yes,
the relationship between language and culture,
yes, of course.
language and cultural mind, language
Okay.
and social system, ma'am,
Yes, yes, yes,
and language and heritage, ethos and values. Their ethos and values.
yes. They are dependent only on their own language and own culture, or they were focused with other language and culture. That is what I want to know. Particular community, even if they belong to, based on the situation, based on the needs, will be focusing on some other areas and some other. Yes, we are intended to learn something. Yes, you were telling the people are what cultivating this and that, and all kind of vegetables, everything. They followed their societal way of rituals, everything, cultivation. How the other language influenced them? They were influenced by other languages, or they were dependent on only on their language. That is what my question.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
They dependent on other language, ma'am.
Okay.
Also.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Kabir sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Sir, may I know the next participant?
Yes, Professor, by all means. The next participants will be Palsy Diana P. and Dr. V. Lizzie. Both are from the Satyabama Institute of Science and Technology. Their research title will be Breaching the Archetypes in Manju Kapoor's A Married Woman. And
Okay.
I have a simple request to make to the participants. Kindly be aware of the time limitation. And of course, I have to ruthlessly say that you try to minimize and limit your presentation within a duration of maximum 7 to 8 minutes. Of course, it cannot be forgiven of what I am saying, but it's my humble request because there we have a long line of other participants waiting. And thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Palsi Diana to present her paper.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. Shall I start?
Yes, yes, you can proceed.
The title of my present study is Breaching the Archetypes in Manju Kapoor's A Married Woman. So, traditionally, women have been considered as a secondary being. They were marginalized and subjugated in the name of tradition and culture. They were not heard and recognized for centuries. They have been existing in this patriarchal society rather than living as a social being, meaning to live as to actively participate in social activities and be a socialized being by contributing directly and actively to the forward march of human civilization. So dominating women and subjugating them has only been gratifying one thing, that is men's ego. On considering the whole equation, that is the development of human civilization, it has shunned the growth and also the obliterated and the possibility of the various developmental paths. So the fact that women being oppressed in one thing and also women fighting against the suppression is the other thing. But bringing out the feminine experience of being suffocated and eluded was a proper strategy. So this experience turned literature served as a powerful tool to record and revoke the male chauvinistic oppression. The mid 19th century in the literary history saw witnessed an unprecedented surge in number of women writers who have successfully implanted the female experiences in literature. So in India, one such writer is Manju Kapoor. Manju Kapoor is a prominent Manju Kapoor is a prominent Indian writer who was born in Amritsar in 1948. She has successfully authored 6 novels, various short stories and poems, and she has been awarded the Commonwealth Writers' Prize for her debut novel, Difficult Daughters, which was published in 1998. Her works were translated into various regional Indian languages and international languages. Her works have been adapted into various films, daily soaps, and web series. So the present study thrusts on the novel A Married Woman. So a married, there are, her works have, sorry, Kapoor, we see Kapoor mirrors the society through her characters in the novels, where women undergo gender disparity in both domestic and beyond. She has depicted the hardships women go through as a never ending odyssey and their struggle for establishing an individual identity for themselves. The female characters in her novels approach life like a new modern woman who is focused on having a career of her own or establishing an identity of her own. So, the out of the box thinking and out of the way approach towards the oppression and oppressive community has led women towards modernity and equality. This following study analyzes the novel A Married Woman, which is published in the year 2002. So, A Married Woman is Kapoor's second novel, which delineates the life of the protagonist, Asta. Okay. I'm unable to change the slides. Okay. So, Asta, the protagonist.
No problem with it.
Okay, ma'am. Asta, the protagonist, is presented as a well-educated woman who has the qualities of being polite and submissive. Her parents tamed her to be a polite wife. They always practiced her how to be a good wife, and their focus was the ultimate goal of life is to get married, which is the problem in typical middle class families. So in this novel, we see Manju Kapoor concerns with the Indian woman who strives to gain name and space in life and the socio-cultural domains. So, we see Asta's search of identity out of frustration, alienation, suppression, isolation, and distress in the man-made culture. So she belongs to a typical middle-class families, and she is forced to live a caged life, but which she tries to break out and come and establish herself. So, the present study dissects the novel into 3 stages, which directs each, which every in which every stage is directed towards the another stage. So, um, like any other teenage girl, she develops an affair with a guy named Bunty during her teenage days, which is a short-lived story. And then again, she searches for love in her college days with a person named Rohan, who takes advantage of her physically and leaves her devastated, which eventually leads her to marry Hemant, which serves as a turning point in her life. So the first stage of her breaching the archetypal image of women is her marriage with Hemant. We see Asta happily married to Hemant, and after giving birth to children, she finds emptiness in her life because Hemant hardly spends any time with her. He constantly insults her and belittles her, uh, in which she realizes her caged existence, and she decides to have a financial independence by taking a teaching job. So she gets fed up with a boring and dull life as she has to live alone at home for the whole day. She has to wait for long hours to be a part of Emma's company. She's seen as a person trapped in the traditional role of a wife, daughter, and daughter-in-law. In Kapoor's words, what was she to do while waiting for Hemant to come home? Her in-laws were not demanding for the housework; they had help and supervision, no matter how painstaking, still left her with enough free time to be restless. So she decides to take up teaching job in St. Anthony's School. So this job brings a change in her life, and she started involving into the external world, and she came to know about the boundaries and limitations around her. Now her status being changed from a housewife to a working woman, which causes a gap between her and her husband. So now there is a tension as a rise because of her social status. She's being tagged as irresponsible, and her husband pressures her to quit the job to take care of the children and family. Now, instead, Asta refuses to quit the job because she feels no more a caged bird, but she starts to live like a free bird. This is the beginning of a search for identity, and this is where she breaks the archetypal image of traditional women. So then the second stage is uh, her search for love outside the marriage with the Professor Ijas. So her gap in her marital discord eventually leads her to join in the theatre group called the Street Theatre Group. So where we see where she meets Ijas, who is a lecturer of history and the founder of the theatre group. So he was impressed by Asta's social spirit and attitude, and he motivates and boosts her. So she finds his appreciation very encouraging, and which pushes her to do more of social activity. So I just appreciates her for her intelligent and talented mind when he reads her script on the burning issues of Babur Masjid and Ram Janabhoomi to be dramatized in the school. So though Asta's husband knows very well that she is a good and intelligent writer and a poet, he failed to appreciate her, while I just appreciates her every time. So she constantly compares her husband with Aijas and feels that Aijas is better than her husband as he always helps her. She even fantasizes having coitus with him, and he wants to leave her husband, and she wants to be with Aijas. In the result, Asta involves more and more in outside works to spend more time with Aijas. She's deeply involved in workshop organized by the theatre group. Meanwhile, they both develop a tender feeling. Unfortunately, this short-lived relationship ends when Aijas and his troop members were massacred while performing the play on Babur Masjid and Ram Janmabhoomi. So their death motivates and leads Asta to emerge as a social activist, and she starts taking part in rallies for justice in spite of the resistance of her husband. She's also busy with painting for the donation of exhibition set up in the memory of the street theatre group. So due to all these activities, it is not possible for her to pay attention to the family and house, which irritates her husband and her in-laws. They demand her to quit the job and stay at home and remain a typical housewife. But now we see her boldly refusing her husband demands, as she wants her own identity in self-independence and self-fulfillment. So it is clarified when she clearly says that I want something of my own. So, like in Virginia Woolf's A Room of One's Own, she demands a personal space of her, and she even asks her husband to give a personal physical space, like a physical personal room for her, which makes Hemant more angry, and eventually he refuses to fulfill her demand. So And then the next stage in the novel is her involvement in sexual relationship with Pippi, who is the wife of Ijas. So Asta, by boldly taking a decision, she visits Ayodhya and she takes part in various political rallies to bring justice for the massacre. So her association with Piplika gives her a new turn to her quest for identity. So Asta finds satisfaction in the arms of Pippi as they both share common pain and suffering, and which eventually lands them in a new lesbian relationship, which is not accepted by his family or by the society. So she feels trapped between the call of the consciousness and her desire for the newfound freedom. Um, she uh, she finds herself happy in the arms of Pippi, but the novelist ends the novel with this short-lived happy relationship between Asta and Pippi. Even though the climax shows that the relationship didn't last long, but we see Asta as a bold and independent woman who who has taken the freedom to decide which is good for her and for her family. So that's it, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Palsi Diana. You have presented very wonderfully about the women's struggle and also how every woman should realize themselves, self-realization, self-actual realization of every woman. Very good. Sir, may I know the next participant? Before next presentation, I would like to say a few words to the presenters. You can go directly about you can give just about the author, and you can go directly about your presentation on the theme, title what you are going to present now. No need to tell the detailed explanation about the author. That's it. Sir, may I know next participant?
Ma'am, I think that'll be the end of this particular session. We thank you profoundly for being with us and conducting the session, ma'am.